Welcome back to cyberspace, where you can chase any face in the human race. And today we're going to be talking none other than swapping and switching cameras. If you guys like the video content, ring the bell, like, and subscribe. It really helps me out. Make more cool content for you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Play of the game.
So let's get right into it. So here we have, I'm going to be showing, this is not a single piece of code. I could compound this into one single section and line, but it's actually a lot better that the code is separated into separate sections for this specific case, since it's easier to identify each specific camera instead of trying to look for them individually inside the code, which might get confusing. So here we have our toggle with our ongoing each player and our button interact, and we're actually going to talk about stop camera. So what stop camera does is when we run through this code, it's going to stop the camera, which isn't really going to do anything the first time we run the code, because there is no camera that's set up. It only stops the camera that we create, and then there's no camera at the start, so it's not going to do anything for the first run. After the first run, it's going to increase event player to 1, and what ends up happening is that this code, when A is 1, this condition, this will initiate. So the camera will then be set up once every time this counter increases the player variable A. So once this is 1, this camera will start at that specific position. And once it starts at that specific position, you'll then see that you'll see from that camera angle, specifically this camera angle here, where we start camera, event player, we go to the eye position for the vector, and the eye position is where the vector starts for the specific camera. So like if we took the number 0 and we just changed all this stuff to pretty much 0, then our camera will start in the center of the board, since 0, 0, 0 is a center vector inside of the workshop chamber. Then we can set our specific look position to the position that we're currently standing in, so the actual position we're standing in, by pressing this button. This gets the vector at which your character is currently standing in free space. And blend speed I'll just leave to 5. And once we have that, we can just restart the match, and I can just show you guys the camera and how it changes. So go back in
With
here.
every death
When we press
comes
interact,
honor.
you can see
With
that the camera
honor,
is now stationary, and
redemption.
Hanzo is now growing and shrinking based off of the fact that he's coming closer and farther from the camera, which is actually quite interesting. So the camera is actually at 0, 0, which is pretty much the middle section. I can show you guys. It's pretty much right here. The middle section part of the camera is basically in the center of this chamber, and that's pretty much where vectors start out. So let's go back into our workshop, and I'll show you how this ends up happening with the toggle. So once we have an increased number, this will keep increasing the number. The next time we press interact, the second time, it's actually going to stop this camera that's we initiated. And then what ends up happening is the second camera here gets initiated, because we stopped the first camera, and this always increases the variable A, which then causes the number to increase and this condition to be true. And once this condition is true, you know what happens? The action starts. And when the action starts, start camera event player vector, and that specific vector that I chose is going to start the camera. And this is going to happen for each camera for each one. When you increase, it's going to stop the last camera, which is camera 2. And then we press interact. Once we press interact for the third time, then it's going to start camera 3, and then that camera is going to start up, and then it's the same thing for 4. Once we press interact, it's going to stop the player 3 camera, and then it's going to add another one to start interact 4. Then it's going to start the condition for 4, which is going to start this new camera. And then finally, once we press this one more time, you can see why I have this little tiny piece of code, is that there's no such thing as a 5th camera. Well, I didn't make one, so since there's no 5th camera, I just put this in to loop through the cameras all over again. Basically, if we press interact one more time, it stops the 4th camera, it adds 1, but you can see that nothing else happens other than the fact that A goes back to 0, which means we're technically at camera 0, or what I like to call first person. The first person where nothing's been changed and everything's the same. I also want to show you guys something interesting with cameras, which I think would be pretty cool, is that if you actually take the look at position here and you change it to the event player here, change it to the event player, what you actually end up getting
with every death
is this really cool moving camera.
With honor, redemption.
So wherever Hanzo's moving to, since the camera is looking at his event position, his event position's always changing when you move him, the camera will always look at Hanzo from the position it starts at. And you can make some cool stuff with this. You can make some cool outros, cool camera flicks and camera shots and angles with this. I hope you guys like this. If you do like this and want to see more one code workshop, comment down below, and tune in next week to see some basic things and tooltips inside of Workshop that pretty much everybody needs. This is Cyberspace, heading out.